We're back here on First Up, the First Stop in your busy day, and we still have with us Professor Selvan Cudjoe as well as Mr. Satnarayan Maharaj, and we are continuing our discussion on race, religion and politics in Trinidad and Tobago. Something of a debate at times, generally a bit of a laugh fest at others. The bottom line, though, is that there is mutual respect and genuine affection here, and we're hoping that by doing this today that we really try to get things to simmer down in the wider society and understand that it's okay to disagree. It's okay to have your side and advocate your position. But it's also important not to do so at the expense of someone else. So, gentlemen, let's look at some of the other comments that have been coming in this morning. One person making a comment, Indians and Africans went through the same thing, and they first need to teach we are all one people, because there is only one race, the human race. That's one comment. Someone saying, you are not born a racist. Racism is taught. Another comment coming in. We are always fighting over an African party or an Indian party, but what we don't realize is that it's the white man who set up the bacchanal that we're seeing today. Another comment here coming in, and this one, perhaps Professor Cudjoe, you'd want to respond to it. A person making an allegation that the People's National Movement wasn't set up, it's perceived as being a black party, but it was really set up to seek the interests of the whites and the French Creoles in the society, and also the interests of the elites and the wealthy, which included East Indians in the society.
I don't like, the way I know through history. And I think the evidence is that when the PNM came into power, the major group was in the POPPG, which represents certain kinds of group under Albert Gomes. It's also true that the Catholic Church was against Eric Williams, very much so the PNM.
You read my article then.
Also, he was called a communist, etc. So I think that the People's National Movement genuinely came out of the nationalist fervor. The Bandung Conference that was taking place all over the world, Gerald Nehru and Sakano and all of those guys, and spoke to the interests of ordinary people. So I don't think it's true to say that it was for the whites and so on. But I think it's also true, if you want to say yes, that we were in response to a white-controlled government who were doing, here in India, in Ghana, in Nigeria, who were trying to extract profits for their own benefit and use us all as their tools of production. But I think that the movement that arose in the form of the PNM or the People's National Party in Jamaica and so on, or even Cheddi Jagan's party and Burnham party in Guyana, was in fact in a response to people's genuine need to be free.
It was a more class rebellion at the time.
Yes, I think so. I think it was more class.
I want to disagree with my friend who is an expert on history. There is some truth in the fact that we are set up by the whites. In 1956, Eric Williams did not win the election. That's a fact. Check the records. He did not win the election. The colonial secretary gave him the additional vote to form a government. So the whites decided who will form the government. My friend, you are a historian. You go and look at the records, right?
We'll have a response after that. We have St. Joseph holding for quite a while now.
Let St. Joseph hold until I finish make the other point. In Guyana, it was the same thing. It was the whites, the Americans, and the British who removed Cheddi Jagan, who had won a legitimate election. So they influenced things in the colonies, even though they want to pass it over. But they decide who shall take over. They decided that Eric Williams and the PNM shall take it over in 1956. They could have called for a coalition government. They could have done that. Was the ideal thing to do in Trinidad, because no one had won an absolute majority. My friend, you better
PDP had 5 seats.
Yeah.
PDP had, let me answer now.
Yeah.
PDP had 5 seats. PNM had 13 seats. In fact, what are you going to do at that era? No, let me finish now. Don't check ahead.
Tell me if it's a fact that they didn't give additional seats to the PNM and gave them the government. No, yes, that is the historical fact.
It is. I just started you say, but
you are not confessing to that. You are not saying yes or no.
Let me answer now, man. You can't answer for me.
Yeah, but you're taking long to answer.
Let me try it again. PDP On that basis,
Did they give the government to the PNM?
Oh, God, let me
Did
answer.
the white colonial secretary give the government to the
Let me answer the
PNM?
question. Who was in rule? What to make the decision?
Why? Is yes or no?
Who had to make the decision? Who had to make the decision?
Now, you're vacillating, man.
No. I think it's quite true in Guyana. Of course, both Kennedy and
Trinidad
God,
too.
let me answer. No, God, you want to kill me? Yes. The fact of the matter is that, but there's nothing else to do. But I don't know if you could then infer from that. But I think that they were against any progressive. They were against Williams too.
Let him finish.
They're against Williams. But the fact is, Williams made the demand. I cannot rule if I got 13 seats. To get a question of some sort of self-rule, we had to have, and was an a nominated member in order to run the government. And that's what happened.
So you're confirming what he said.
I have withdrawn my admiration
We have
for him.
St. Joseph on the line. Good morning, St. Joseph. Thank you for holding. Go ahead, please.
Good
St. Joseph, go ahead,
Hello.
please.
Hello, good morning.
Yes,
thank
go
you
ahead.
for
Thank you for holding.
Thank you very much. Hello?
Yes, go ahead,
Yes,
please.
you're
We're
on the
hearing
air.
Yeah. I just would like to make one comment about what I'm seeing this morning. I think the two gentlemen you have there are very good at what they do, but I think they come to the table with too many chips on their shoulders. I think they should be removed and they should pass the baton on to somebody else. Just like King David, God told King David not to be there anymore and to pass the baton on to his son to build the temple. We should be talking more about where we should be going other than and how to deal with each other and how to work together other than trying to point out our own individualism and our own, our own racial divide. It is terrible what we are doing here this morning. And I think we should move on and talk more about working together, about more than who we are or what our race is and stuff like that. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Let's go straight to
thanks very
Claxton Bay before we respond. Claxton Bay, go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I would just like to say that I feel very proud of looking at these two gentlemen this morning having a healthy debate. As a younger person looking on, I feel as though a little bit redeemed and refreshed from all of the things that have been happening so far, and just to congratulate both men on the great job that they do.
Thank you very much.
thank you very
That's a young person, right?
Yes,
Thank you.
and
Go
that's
ahead.
the idea behind this debate this morning, because very often it's not put into context where both gentlemen can respond to each other. It's with a view to moving forward, because we will have future follow-ups.
The previous caller, I will not accept his advice because I do not revere King David. I revere Lord Shiva. Let him know that. I have a different reverence.
That said, though, Mr. Mirage, he's making a very important point that perhaps after we do all of the navel gazing and we vent out some of the bile and we cleanse and we have the kumbaya moment, I'm not sure what the equivalent is in Hinduism, but I'm sure you would find it. After we do all of that, we need to think in terms of moving the society forward, regardless of our ethnic grouping, because all of us as ethnic groups needed to be able to take Trinidad and Tobago into a place where it is even more productive, more successful, a better quality of life can be had by all. So can we take up that challenge now?
Young lady, you should be grateful for Kojo and I to bring this society to where it is, so you could sit here like a madam and control the whole of Trinidad and Tobago. We have brought it here, not you. You are benefiting from it. The fact that you are sitting here on this radio station, this television station that costs $500 million, we pay the taxes. We have brought it here. So it is for you and your generation now to carry it forward. We will be there to ensure that you don't dump it in the Gulf of Paria.
Okay.
Sitaram.
All right. So as the elder statesman that you have decided to be, this is my generation. We want to move it forward. But we also understand that there is still a great deal of static in the society.
I don't understand. You see, I find the question, I guess I have a problem with the thinking. Mm-hmm. SAT runs several schools. They educate people. Is that not moving the society forward? How do you call that? How do we call that? A young one said, I write my head off. I go back to do research next month to find out where we come from. Isn't that not work, or is it not honorable work? We have two societies. One talk about King who, wait for a minute?
King David.
Whoever he is, right. That's not my frame of reference. My frame of reference is we must work where we can and how we can. And that I have more admiration, after all I said to the young lady who spoke secondly and said how important it was for what she saw. So therefore, let's balance it. This nonsense, and I just think I call it the utopian moment, that we must just, that Coach John said dead, and somehow things will happen. And I don't know that in my religion, we respect and worship our ancestors. And you only die when your ancestors die. We give praise and blessings to our ancestors. So this question, just moving ahead and moving on. I think we know that wisdom is reserved in the elders who bring to bear. Certainly I could tell, let me go there. When Williams came and seen Larry Nicholas Constantine, we used to run down there. When Barry Sagan Maraja fought McDonald Stanley 1950, I was there. That's how long we going. How much is that, 60 years?
Yeah, I was there too. I was there.
60 years?
I want to tell you something, you know. I want to put these two reporters on the rack. It is reporters like you across the world that is causing all the damage. Look at London right now. Look at London. A lot of them are going to go to jail, owners of newspaper and television, because they misrepresent the truth.
So
and this is what is happening in Trinidad too.
All reporters misrepresent
the truth?
I'm
not saying all. I'm saying reporters like you. That is, you misrepresent what we are actually saying and what we represent because you want a headline. It is not good enough to take a picture of you and me hugging up and kissing. It is not good enough Maharaj, if I take a stone and bust your head. Them fellas like that.
Is it not a fact that because
is it not a fact that right now the media is under pressure in London and all across the world?
Absolutely, because of their malpractices. But is it not a fact that we invited you both gentlemen here to get away from that mindset, to actually promote this kind of fair and free discussion?
But here what my point is, and I think we have to be very careful. And I think that part of the point I think that Sarah is making is a kind of informed responses and informed judgment. We were here, and he's older than I am, when we had to fight just to vote. In fact, my neighbor, Mackie Bailey, invited William to speak. He used to work on Orange Grove in Tagarigua. And Howard, who was the head of Orange Grove, said, I'm going to fire him and invite him back. That's what we had to face. When I went to school, I was a pupil teacher. I didn't get any work because I certain kinds of things. I'm suggesting to you is that we have to learn to respect the work that we did to make you what you are. The same is true in the States. And I don't think it's just leaving the stage. You didn't say that. It was said by the thing. And just dead because some people figure we cannot be bothered. And I do think that part of our problem is better be informed not just about our past, but our varied religions. We must know what the Ram Leelas are. We must know what the Ramayana are. We must also know what certain our books are, what some of our practices are, because I think it's part of the miseducation that leads us to where we are, and to hear those kinds of questions.
We have Santa Cruz on the line. Good morning, Santa Cruz. Thank you for joining us.